Welcome back to the latest episode of This Racing Life. When talking about championship races at the Cheltenham Festival, we often mention Willie Mullins, Nicky Henderson, Paul Nicholls and Gordon Elliott. And due to the size of their operations, it can seem an impossible task to compete. We've come down here to Ravenswell Farm to meet Fergal O'Brien, a trainer with a real opportunity to do just that.
I could never have imagined when we came to Ravenswell Farm. I came and looked around here in 2018 with Rupert and Nicky Lowe, who had Jane Tuffin had introduced me to him, and I'd never met him before. Came here in July 2018 and we've done amazing things since then, yeah. 18
months ago it was an exciting new partnership with Graham McPherson. Talk to me about your time as a partnership and maybe why you're not partnered anymore.
Look, it worked very well, and it was you know, numbers would tell you 142 winners last year, 126 the year before, but the numbers would tell you it worked, but just logistically it was very difficult, and you know, I wasn't getting to Stowe as much as I would have hoped I was, neither was Sally, and it was just stretching us a bit thin, you know, and something would go wrong over there and you just didn't, you know, you couldn't give it your full attention because I was sort of here, and yeah, it was literally spreading ourselves too thin, you know. And you know, to be fair to Dave and Jody and Mick and Graham and everyone over there, you know, they did a fantastic job, and you know, a lot of winners came out of Stowe last year, and look, it's worked out well for all of them. Dave's taking on the licence, Dave Killahena started with me. He's taken on the licence with Graham, and they've had a good start. So you know, wish them best of luck, and fingers crossed for them too. You can definitely tell that the stable is in such a great place. And this morning, the wealth of quality of jockeys and horsemen and horsewomen around is incredible. There was Brian Hughes, Paddy Brennan, Conor Brace, Johnny Burke, and many more. How handy is it having racing minds like those working on the horses in the mornings? Yeah, so you can't buy that, you know, you just can't buy that experience. So, you know, very lucky. Brian was obviously at Warwick yesterday and Newbury today, so he probably stayed with Paddy last night, and Paddy said he was in this morning, so any day you can get the champion jockey, get a champion jockey. Maybe turning that one down. Yeah. You know, it's nice, yeah. And look, he came back in with some good feedback because we got a new horse called Moon de Orange, and we were sort of looking 3 miles from him, plus Brian thinks he's got plenty of boot, and 2.5 will be fine. So you can't buy that experience, and if you don't listen to those people, then you know, you're probably wasting your time a little bit, you know. But yeah, very lucky. Great team of jockeys, you know. Even, you know, we didn't mention Liam and Jack Hogan there, and Dara. Max was in this morning. Tom Broughton, ridden 10 or 11 winners for this year, and they all work so hard in the yard, not just on the race days. You know, Liam's sort of flown the nest a little bit now, but he's still in 4 mornings a week. But when those boys are here, you know, in the afternoons, they're mending fences, they're harrowing paddocks, they're doing the gallops, and they're a fantastic bunch of lads, and they all work very well together. So to have that team of people is I'm just very, very lucky, yeah, blessed with them, yeah. I come in a day a week, probably more so from last August, started coming in every Monday mainly, but it's a great place with a great team of staff and people, so it's a very happy place, and as you saw yourself this morning, it's busy as well. So. Talk to me about that, the first time you sat on Crambo here rather than on a racetrack. Yeah, I actually took him away locally to work him, just so I could get some bit of a feel off him, and it's just the way he is. He doesn't show you much in the gallops. He obviously says he's best for the track, so I suppose if you didn't know he was Crambo, you wouldn't say he was the level of a horse that he is. So, but like I said, it's not a bad thing. He goes through the motions, but he says he's best for the races. What were your emotions in the morning of Ascot, having never ridden the horse in a race before? You've got the ride on a Grade 1 favourite. That must have been exciting. It was, yeah. That's what you want. That's what you do it for. That's what the Monday to Fridays are for, the early starts. But I was lucky to get the call up. Grateful to Fergal and Chris and Jared as well. Noel Feely works closely with Jared as well, and I've had a lot of luck for Noel too. So I was looking forward to it, but there was plenty of talk in the media and stuff. I had to park all that about getting the ride in him, and I had a job to do, and luckily I had a willing partner. Was it relief when he crosses the line in front? It was a bit of both. I suppose my last Grade 1 winner was Not So Sleepy when he shared it with Epitant, and then before that was Size and Granite and Size and John. So I had plenty of rides in Grade 1s without having massive winners. So on a personal level, it was great to get that Grade 1 winner again, and especially in a race like the Long Walk, because it's a very prestigious race. When he crosses the line in front of Ascot, what were your emotions at the time? It must have been fairly blurry because I hugged Matt Chapman. So yeah.
We've all seen the video.
Yeah, so when you're running towards Matt Chapman for a hug, you're obviously desperate, aren't you? No, honestly, I just couldn't believe it. I believed in the horse so much. I'd taken a fair bit of flack for changing jockeys, so that was sort of rewarded a little bit as well. So it was relief, it was joy, it was a roller coaster of emotion. Yeah, Ed Chamberlain wanted me to do an interview straight away. I said I can't because I'll cry. So yeah, it was just a great day.
That elusive Cheltenham Festival win looks this year like you've got the best chance you've ever had with Dysart Enos, who we'll get onto later, and Crambo. What would it mean if Crambo won the Stayers Hurdle? I
mean everything to us, as the yard. It's not just me, it's not just about me, it's about everyone around me. You saw this morning, I'm the best person to do this because I'm the one with the most amount of time. Everyone else is working their socks off. I stand on the gallows, I watch the horses, and I'm just genuinely, I'm not just, it's not lip service, I'm just a cog in a wheel. Everyone else has got to do their jobs for these horses to do their job on the track. So yeah, it would mean a whole lot, and it would mean everything just to get that first festival winner and move on. Yeah.
Fergal, you've not just got one big Cheltenham hope. There's Dysart Enos as well, who leads the market for the Mares Novices Hurdle. Let's go back to her early career. At what point did you feel that she could be above average?
She won around Ludlow and was very impressive and beat the boys there, and Conor gave her a lovely ride. But to come from sort of last to first at Ludlow, it's a tricky place to do that. So she was good there. So then the next obvious place to go was to go for a sort of bit of black type of graded racing. Market racing was off, and then Queen's Gamble went into the, I'm not sure if Queen's Gamble was always going there, but anyways, Queen's Gamble was there. So we thought, look, we'll roll the dice and take our chance. Because we felt Queen's Gamble was very good round Cheltenham. We beat Bonte around Cheltenham, who was going in on some good form as well. So yeah, so if we thought we'd go and finish seconds to Queen's Gamble, that's realistically what we did, and the owner hasn't let me forget it. So so yeah, we went there, and she was so impressive that day. It was a turn of foot that was amazing at market racing, and on the day, if I trained Queen's Gamble, I'd have made excuses because of the track and one thing and another. But I just think Bonte was very, very good that day, and we got a bit of weight from Queen's Gamble. So I wasn't disappointed when I heard Queen's Gamble was going to go to Cheltenham and not Aintree, because that was always our aim after that, But I'm not sure, whatever turned up at Aintree. I think she was so impressive at Aintree. Like, again, she blew us away. The way she travelled in the race, she just switched herself off, and when they've turned in, Paddy's been able to put her wherever he wanted to put her. There was a wall of horses in front of him. He was able to nip in and out, and he gave her a lovely ride, and she's pulled away a long way, yeah.
And when you have a graded bumper winner like you did with Dysart Enos at Aintree last year, there's going to be lots of hype when they do eventually go novice hurdling. What was it like the first day you sent her out when she was in a novice hurdle?
It's exciting, You can't train these horses, and if you don't get excited or look forward to them running, then it must be a tough job, And it was interesting reading David Ellsworth's article the other day. I think a lot of people are afraid to lose. I'm never afraid to lose. That's just sport. You go there in the best form you can and do everything that you can. You try and tick as many boxes. We go back to the I'll just hit on Crambo very quickly. The jockeys at Crambo, Johnny Burke had ridden 3 or 4 Grade 1 winners, whereas Conor hadn't. And that's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to tick every box. So if you tick every box and you go and you do your best, like Alaphilippe last 2 years ago in the Pretemps, then that's all you can do. You can't worry. You got to be excited. And when she went to Huntington first time out, we'd done a lot of work with her. She'd done a lot of schooling. She'd running a point to point. So we were always fairly hopeful. And if she got beat, then it was a very good horse to beat her. So if one beats her, then so be it.
A previous win was at Cheltenham. Was it important to kind of get that Cheltenham monkey off her back, just knowing that she will like the track going into a Cheltenham Festival?
Yeah, people ask me why. So it was important for her to go to Cheltenham because she's a type of mare that can just get a little bit hot. And my experiences at Nigel's and stuff, and you go to the festival year in year out, it's the festival is different to anywhere else. I just love the place, but it's just got an atmosphere of its own. And I remember one year actually, the one horse that just stick out in my mind was a horse called Irish Raptor. I think Sam might have rode it in the National Hunt Chase. and lovely horse, but absolutely blew his mind. I mean, I remember him fly leaping going to the start and ran no race at all, you know. And yeah, so it was important to go there just to get her to have a look at the place. She'll go back there in March, hopefully, and she's been there before. She'll won't have experienced the atmosphere that she will in March, but at least she's been to Cheltenham before, and she's been down that walkway, and it'll be, you know, it'll be some sort of a practice run for her.
So she's got the Cheltenham in, and you've campaigned her slightly tactically this season, so she may not have a £5 penalty come March.
Yeah, look, I just built. It was pointed out to me that, you know, she was supposed to go to Newbury after Doncaster, and it was pointed out to me that if you win at Newbury, then you have a £5 penalty for a listed race. Now, bearing in mind the last 4 or 5 winners of the Mayor's Hurdle have all, you know, Love Envoy and all, they've all carried a penalty. But I just felt if we can go without a penalty, well, surely that's got to give us a little bit of a better chance. So we have avoided all the listed and all those sort of races. I'm very grateful to the owners because everyone had planned their holidays and stuff, and so there was no owners there for her at Cheltenham. So it was a big deal for them. She's got a very good horse, and for them not to go and see her run, but felt it was the best thing for us and her to do, then that was, you know, you need to have those owners on your side, and to give up a big day like Newbury. Not that she was no giving at Newbury, no. To give up a day like Newbury in a listed race, then that was you need to have like the good owners to be able to let you do that.
Fergal O'Brien has built one of the biggest social media followings in racing, largely down to the help of Dr. Simon Gilson. I sat down with Simon in hope of finding out the secret formula. Simon, how did your relationship start with Fergal?
I met Ferg about 9.5 years ago through a patient actually of mine who owned a horse here, the Governess, who was a lovely horse of his, and has still got horses that he shares with Ferg Bonte for Cedric Brooks. And he introduced me to Ferg at the racecourse. He sold me a share in a racehorse within about 2 weeks, like any good trainer would. And then, you know, I came to the yard fairly frequently after that. That would have been the first yard that Ferg trained from Kildara. And then, you know, the relationship has just grown from there, you know, more and more involved with the yard in my own little way. And asked if he wanted me to take on the social media thing from that following summer. And that's where it all started in terms of the social media input that I give.
At the time, he wasn't doing anything. Were many other trainers doing things? Could you see other people being successful online, or was it very much quite a stale environment?
Yeah, it's difficult to remember back that far because things have changed so much in that sort of that 8-9 year period. But I don't remember anybody doing it, and I just remember thinking that actually, having spent time at the yard and seeing what happens, it was a huge shame that we weren't seeing that sort of stuff out in the sort of general forum for people to see what goes on at the yard. And that was really the prime driver, was to get the horses the care that they're given, the staff, and giving them an opportunity really to be out there, which I don't think traditional media really has the platform to do, and understandably so. But I felt we were missing out. I'd been going racing for decades, and I was very naive about what happens in the background, all the hard work, and I think it's really important that people see that, and this is probably the best way for that to happen.
And you have been so welcoming in that, and I often see tweets, and I really admire the tweets where you reach out to people who might be struggling with their mental health and need an escape, need a break, and being around animals, being around horses can massively help that. Why did you decide to reach out to those people? I know it sounds like an obvious question, but no one really else does it.
No, you're right. I mean, it seemed like an obvious thing to do, and therefore you wonder why people weren't doing it. But maybe it is that social media gives you a platform that you couldn't otherwise do that. You know, how else are you going to manage that? Pop some leaflets in the local village hall or whatever. It doesn't have the same impact as we're able to achieve on social media. So there is undoubted benefit for people's mental and physical well-being coming here on any day, not just a nice day, but, you know, spending time with the horses, being out in the fresh air, seeing those things on the gallops. And it's not difficult for us to do. We enjoy it. You know, those odd messages that we get back to say that has made a material difference to me and my health. That's worth doing it for alone. That is, you know, as an end point, that's fantastic to hear when you get that message back. And it's easy for us to do, and we're very happy to do it.
I personally feel that the racing was maybe slow to embrace social media. That's definitely the one thing that I felt set you apart from a very early point, because you really took the bull by the horns. Simon has been a big part of it. How much of a help has he been to your operation, or has he been at all?
He's very expensive. No, he's not. I keep upping his pay 10% every year, because 10% of nothing is still nothing. So look, social media has nothing to do with me. You know, I suppose the part I play in it, I let Simon have a free hand. You know, and he's widely known as the doc now. So which is what he does in his full-time role. You know, he's a proper doctor, and yeah, he's been phenomenal. I think he's been great for racing, not just for me. He's been great for us here at Ravenswell, but I think for racing in general, I think he's been fantastic, because people have got to go to, whether it's things that make him happy, or they want a backlash, you know, and he's very good at interchanging with people and conversing and things like that. So, and he's made the yard very open. You know, a lot of people come because they have different issues. And you know, that's all down to Simon, and he looks after them when he comes here. So it's not like they turn up here and I've got to hold their hand and take them around. You know, Simon does all that. He takes them around the yard, shows them our routine, and the staff play a massive part of that, because they're used to people coming. When people do come, they're very friendly, and you know, they know they're here to have a nice morning on the gallops, and they play a big part of that. Yeah.
How much do you think social media can play a part in the future of racing?
I don't think there's anything better at the moment, because people don't have access to paid, you know, satellite. They don't all have access to satellite TV. Not as many people, I ought to say, are buying the Racing Post anymore. But social media is available to anybody, and the beauty of it is that it's still free. It's not quite as good as it used to be 5 years ago, but it's still free, and it's still a brilliant platform for anybody to get their ideas out. Even if those ideas are largely nonsense, at least people get to see them. They get to make up their mind that it's largely nonsense, and we move on. But as a platform for spreading the sport, not just the stuff you see on the racecourse, but everything else around there, I don't think there's anything better. And I think, you know, I'd encourage anybody to do it. This is never be a competition between whose is the best Twitter account. I want to just see more. I want to see how other people do things. We want to see places from around the world. That's what's interesting, I think, is that you can get this window into so many different areas.
If one or two of them were to win on, say, the Thursday of the festival, surely you're going to allow yourself to get carried away a little bit in the evening.
I mean, yeah, it's not even, I'll be carried away in the morning. You know, the old, we'll still be going to the plough at 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, just for a little loosener. So that's the sort of what happens in the afternoon is largely irrelevant. But no, you're right. I mean, obviously, if either of those two or both of those horses win, or, you know, anything else that we run there wins, it will be massive. You know, part of this game is that if you're not celebrating your successes, again, what's the point at whatever level? But certainly at that level, you know, Ferg will say it's not the be all and end all to train a Cheltenham Festival winner, and I get that to a point, but in another way, it sort of is.
An hour down the road from Fergal O'Brien near Ross-on-Wye, Ryan Potter has made a flying start to his training career, and this is largely down to one very special horse in Jetoile. We're down here at Caradoc Stables to catch up with Ryan, as well as meet his stable superstar.
Come over in 2005, did my farrier apprenticeship. I was based up in the Cotswolds with a farrier called Nick Partridge. Always was riding. I started out, before I came over here, started out with Andy Oliver. He's a flat trainer in Ireland. And then when I was doing my apprenticeship, my boss wasn't keen on me ever doing any race riding or anything. So I never gave up riding. I was always riding out at the weekends, or riding eventers and stuff like that. And then it was when I qualified in 2010, then that's when I got a couple of pointers myself, and then sort of snowballed from there. But the goal wasn't always to, I'd be lying if I said was to train straight away. So I was taking it as it come, really.
Where did your love for the horse come from?
We were brought up with horses. My granddad was he was a horse dealer. He was actually more Irish drafts than anything. And then we were riding from we were no age, probably before we could really walk. Always did show jumping and eventing when we were younger, and the actual racing came later on when it was work experience at school when I was 13. So I went to Andy Oliver's, and I think from then on I probably spent more time at Andy Oliver's than I did at school, to be honest.
So you knew that's what you wanted to do from an early point.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Andy, to be fair, advised me. He said go get a trade, and then come back to the horses. I don't know if he said that because I wasn't a very good rider or what, but no, it stuck by me. So I go out and got my apprenticeship, and look, it's all worked out well so far.
Talk to me at the start of COVID. You can't go pointing. That decision then to become a trainer, was that a quick one where you made it and you knew what you wanted to do, or did it take real consideration?
Not so much. At that point, I'd sort of, in the back of my head, I'd always wanted to. So it's in the last 2 seasons, maybe pointing, it was always on the back of my mind to get the license. We just had a group of a few owners that probably just preferred to go on the rules. They weren't, well, a couple of them, I think my first set of owners, I don't think any of them were involved with horses. They just got involved more through support and just a bit of fun. And I think they preferred to stand in the bar on the rules than stood in the middle of a field pointing. But so yeah, it was sort of, I sort of had the support from a few good owners to go and get my license. And then with, so I wouldn't say it was forced, my hand was forced as such, but I still would have got my license, but it would have been probably strung out over a couple of years. And sure, who knows, when pointing came back on, who's to say, then probably might not have pushed on and got my license. So yeah, it probably was, horribly probably was a blessing in disguise, COVID, for me anyway.
Success came pretty quickly in the form of Jetoile, who we've seen this morning. He looks at 1 million and has been so good to you so early on in your training career. How did your paths cross with him?
So it was, I wouldn't say luck I wouldn't really say luck as such. Jimmy Kelly, who's actually hadn't found us a horse as of then. It was the first horse he found for us. So he hit the bullseye straight away. But so he sent me over a couple of horses to look at for Jane Bennett, which was a new owner in the yard. So I wanted to make sure it was a good one, basically. And a few came over, and I wasn't 100% with them. And then he sent over the profile of Jetoile, and so I looked at his form, and I was like, I don't know, I don't think he's going to be good enough for what we want. And then this was all over text message, and then he rang me and he says, "Look, this you don't you don't want this horse. You need this horse. I'm telling you now." So we got took a wee bit of convincing to get Jane Bennett to buy him as such, because his form wasn't great now, to be honest, and they'd had a heavy enough fall.
Is that an Irish point to points?
Yeah, an Irish point to points. So I don't know if he just didn't quite stay the 3 mile. But so we got Jane convinced into buying him, and the rest is history. He came over, and he's a beautiful model of a horse now. So yeah, as soon as he arrived in the yard, I knew we had a good one anyway. On looks and everything, he just oozed class, but he was a nightmare. He was a runaway. He had to be rode in a hood every day, and look, he's been a work in progress. So he has. I know obviously his form, like he did first time at Cheltenham, he run well. He only got beat 3/4 of length, and like obviously his first season was unbelievable. But to get a horse like that and a new owner as well, it was brilliant. They're the ones, like, you can have your midweek runners all you want, but when you have, I don't like to call them Saturday runners or Saturday winners, but like your bigger races, when you have horses winning them, they're the ones that get you noticed. And like I said, brought quite a lot of publicity to the yard, and got us a few new owners as well. So yeah, no, it was like he's been a superstar anyway. So I've just got to try and convince the owner to keep him here for as long as possible.
Talk to me about the feelings about finishing second to Constitution Hill. Obviously, at the time, we knew that he looked good. We'd seen him at Sandown before, but we didn't know Constitution Hill was going to turn out as he was. Yeah. Your horse finishes second to him. He's probably one of the horses who's finished closest to him in his whole career. Did you leave Sandown that day really happy that you finished second, or was the competitive side going, I really wish we won that? And then maybe a few months later, when he goes and wins the Supreme so easily, do you suddenly go, fair enough, we may have bumped into one? Yeah,
look, at the time, it was just the whole experience on the day was unbelievable. I'd never had a graded runner.
And to have one in a grade one as well.
And a grade one straight away. And to have a live chance. Like Darrell unfortunately couldn't ride him, so Lorcan rode him. But Darrell, it was, to be fair, it was his idea to go for the race. And yeah, it was, the whole experience was unbelievable, and you come away, I was over the moon because I knew he had run to the best of his ability, but you do have that competitive edge, and nobody wants to finish second. So yeah, you come away over the moon with a horse, but as in result wise, you're a bit gutted. And then because at the time we didn't know, and I know he'd obviously won impressively the time before, and I knew how good Jet was. But for him to come past us like that, going to the last, and there's a lot of good horses behind him. That I think nearly every horse behind him in the Tolworth has come out and won good races. So like the form of it's actually worked out really well. But it's probably a few months later then when you get Cheltenham out of the way and stuff, you appreciate what a freak you've bumped into.
At what point did you pinpoint the Old Roan?
So yeah, we all sat down after Chepstow. We always try and make a plan for the following season. With the likes of him and the other horses, if some of them aren't quite making the cut or whatever, we'll have to sell them on. So we just had a sit down, Darrell and the owners, and I wouldn't say so much the owners. I think Darrell, I'd say, sort of just decided the Old Roan was the way we were going. And
what did he say to you at that time to convince you? Why was it the Old Roan that he chose?
He's had a lot of success there with in the Green and Green, so I think he just quite liked the race. It's even though it's a Grade 2 at the start of the season, it's probably wrong in saying, but it is probably a stepping stone for a lot of the bigger yards to go on to bigger races. So we thought, he runs well fresh. Just go there 110% fit, and we'll throw our hat in the ring and see how we get on. And to be honest, his work had been exceptional running up to it. And yeah, when I seen the price drifting out to 28 to 1, we couldn't believe it.
Did you get involved at all at 25s?
We had a little investment. Yeah.
When he crosses the line and wins an Old Roan, how are you feeling?
It's quite embarrassing actually. I was quite emotional. I don't know, I think it's just more of relief than anything, because we always knew how good the horse was, and I'm not an emotional person at all, but yeah, no, I definitely welled up anyway, so I did. So yeah, no, it was I ride him more or less every day myself, and I just spend, like every horse in the yard, you want them to run to their best, but I just obviously I've got, because I ride him every day, well, most days myself, you just get that special bond with him, and he is the yard superstar. So it was I'd say more relief than anything, just because he's actually living up to what we know that he can do.
We sit here, you've got 25 horses in the yard, you've got roughly 10 at pre-training yards as well. Yeah. Where would you like to scale to? What would you like Ryan Potter Racing to be?
Look, at the moment, 25 suit us, and we've got a couple of good pre-training yards, like Callum Bicker's Price and Justin Broverton, both pre-trained for us, and we've got a nice turnaround. So like say we've probably got 35 in numbers. Look, I'd like to be in a situation at some point where I don't have, not that I don't have to use the pre-training, but I'd like to have I'd be able to expand, so I could have up to maybe 40 or 50 horses on site. But I don't know if I would want to ever get any bigger than that, but I'm not going to say no to any new owners anyway. So yeah, well, we won't. I wouldn't like to put a number on it really, but as long as we keep the quality, I think because we're limited on space here, we've been able to sort of keep the quality. I know we do have like lower grade horses, but they're sort of, you walk around the yard at the moment and every horse you look at, you think, oh, that'll win, or this will win, or that'll go on and win a couple, rather than when you first start you're like, oh, I hope that wins. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think as long as we keep the quality, but I'd like to build up a bit more, probably towards more of the 40-50 maybe.
We hope you enjoyed this latest edition of This Racing Life. Thank you so much to Fergal O'Brien and Ryan Potter for opening up their doors. We'll see you next Wednesday.